Hi everyone, I'm Karen Robinson from littlepaperparty.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Australia, and today I have the 7th project in this year's 12 Weeks of Halloween series to share with you, which is going to be this super cute, tiny little mini milk carton. I went to say mini again. So this is very, very small. It only measures 1 3/8 by 1 3/8 by 2 inches when it's kind of pushed down like this, so maybe a little bit over 2 inches when it's fully up. And it only uses a scrap of DSP, which is really great, so you can make lots of these. The DSP I'm using sorry, is the plaid tidings DSP from the August to December mini catalogue, and you only need a 3 by 6 inch piece, which means this is a 6 by 6 DSP pack, which means that you can make 2 per sheet, and if you were working with 12 by 12 paper, then you could make 8. So I'm just grabbing out the Simply Scored. I'm going to put it in with the 6 inch across the top, and we're going to score at 1 sorry, I got a tickle in my throat. 1 3/8, 2 3/4, 4 1/8, 5 1/2. Then turn it 90 degrees, and we're going to score it at 7/8 of an inch, 1 7/8, and then I'm going to flip it over and then score it at 2 1/2, and that's all the scoring. So fold and burnish all your score lines. I'm going to do that before I start trimming. I noticed when I picked this up, I thought I've chosen another dark piece of paper, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Hopefully I can see actually what I'm doing, see this, where all the score lines are. So the top on the shorter side, where I flipped it over and scored on this side, I'm actually just folding that the opposite way to the others. That's going to form this little top. It'll just help it come together well. And the bottom. Oh, I was going to say, I think there's another score line, and there is. There we go. So here's our piece of DSP. So with our little 1/2 inch tab on the right hand side, this is what's going to join our box together. We're going to do a little bit of trimming. So you'll have your small score line at the top, and there'll be a bigger one down the bottom, so that means that you're in the right orientation. We're just going to remove this lower rectangle. Oops. Which isn't as difficult as they seem to be making now. Just going to so slightly wedge in the top, and then we're going to come along and we're going to trim up the bottom pieces. I like to wedge in what's going to be the side tabs. You don't have to do that. I just like it that way. It cuts down kind of any overhang on the bottom. So the next one is actually going to be the front of your box, and then this is another side one, and this is going to be the back. Okay, so sorry, quickly put our box together. So I'm using tear and tape, just a little bit on the side tab, and then I'm going to put some, so this will be the front of the box, so I'm going to put some under here, and you don't need too much because this is only a small tiny box. And then what I'm going to do is, I've actually, to maximize this part of the box so I could fit a slightly bigger treat in there, I've made the bottom a little bit smaller, so it doesn't fully overlap, but it does overlap more than enough for everything to adhere. But just to reinforce everything, I am going to add just a little bit of tear and tape just to the side tabs as well. You probably don't have to. You're not going to put anything really big in there because it's tiny. So, but I just like it because that way I know everything's adhered really nicely. I'm going to remove the backing. Once again, if I have any over the edge, which I usually do, you just fold it in on itself. Close up my box, and then I like to give that a nice burnish. To remove all of the backing on my adhesive for the bottom. Then I'm going to fold down my side tabs. So I like to use my grip paper just to help keep my my project square. Fold down the side tabs, fold down the back. I'm just going to give that just a little press, and then I'm going to fold down the front. Turn it over and give it all a good press from the inside. Then this is my join here. So this is the back of my box, and so these are, so I've got that facing away from me. These are the two sides, and I'm just going to gently push in there and pinch the top closed. And because I made this extra score line along here, it's going to form very nicely. Perfectly. Okay, so before we decorate it, and the decoration I've kept very simple because this is so tiny, I'm quickly going to show you what will fit in it, because you might think nothing's going to fit in there, but you'll be surprised. So I have a few little things over here. So for treats, you can fit in 4 starbursts. You do have to kind of pack them in like this. So 2 stacked and 2 on the side, but they will fit in there. You can fit in 3 of these Werther's caramels. And then you can also fit in, which is kind of what I really had in mind when I made it, you can fit in either a Raffaello, which is yummy. They're all yummy. Fits in there perfectly. Or you can fit in a Ferrero Rocher, which also fits in there perfectly. It's like nearly made for it. Oops. Imagine I didn't put it in slightly sideways, but fits in there absolutely perfectly. So those are just a few options, and I'm sure that there are other small wrap lollies or other little goodies too, non-food things, little erasers and other little bits and pieces that you could pop in here as well. So I'm not going to put anything in there because how I've decided to close mine is I'm going to just staple it shut. It is so tiny, you could definitely make holes and tie a bow and stuff, and that would look great, but I'm not going to do that. This is quick and simple. So I've got a stapler, and yeah, we're just roughly going to center it and staple. And so to cover this, I am using some of the embroidered ribbon, which is in the mini catalogue, the current mini catalogue, and is part of the whole plaid tidings suite. And I've already made a little bow, and I'm just going to use a few glue dots just to cover that up, that staple up at the front. You can still see it at the back, but I don't think that that's too bad. And I've got the flat side at the back, so I've purposely stapled it so I've got kind of the ugly side at the front, and that's the bit I'm going to cover with my bow. So just pop that on there. So cute. These are so cute. Every time I make them, they're so cute. So for a little bit of decoration, sorry, I've got a scrap of cinnamon cider cardstock, and I'm using a sentiment from the Itty Bitty Greetings, and I remembered this time, so this is a 2-piece set, so it comes in 2 cases, lots of small sentiments for pretty much every occasion, so a very, very handy one to have. I'm using the Trick or Treat Memento black ink, and I'm just stamping that on my scrap of cinnamon cider. Now you could definitely die cut this out if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to trim it out close to the sentiment with my scissors. And I'm just going to grab a bigger pair of scissors for that. Because this is so tiny, I only need it really, really small. Oops. So that is my little sentiment I'm going to add there. It fits perfectly across the top too. It's like it was made for it. It's really good. So I'm going to adhere this with dimensionals. Then I have one other little bit of embellishment as well. So in the trio of tags dies, which coordinates with a stamp set in the annual catalogue, not only do you have the tags, you also have a few embellishment parts as well. So I die cut these little jack-o'-lanterns. So I die cut them from pumpkin pie for the actual jack-o'-lantern, and then I liked having the face covered. It cuts out the face, so I've just cut a little scrap of basic black cardstock, so I've got that contrast, and yeah, I like that look. You don't have to do that, but I decided to do that. So I'm going to adhere both of these things with dimensionals. I'm using the black dimensionals, and I'm just using the mini ones because everything is so small. So the pumpkin will take a whole mini one. I'm just using some reverse tweezers for holding like really small things. Just going to stick that on the front. And this is still too small for even a skinny piece of, even one of the mini dimensionals. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim a little bit off the sides, because all the sides, after you take all your dimensionals off, you have all this stuff left on the side. That's all still dimensional, and I use that, I cut that down for, you know, funny shapes, and yeah, just to keep using, because I'm not going to waste it. Yeah. So I have a little pair of scissors. These are my sticky scissors. They're just a cheap pair of scissors that I use for sticky things. For cutting tape, cutting up dimensionals. It doesn't bother me that they get sticky. So I've just cut off a strip. I'm going to pop that on the back. And remove the backing. And pop that onto my box. I should have maybe had that at a slightly different angle, but that's okay. And so that is everything. That is it for today's project. Quick and easy, super cute. These would look so cute. And what I love about these is that they are they're very economical with your paper. So you can make two with no waste from one 6x6 piece, or you could make 8 from a 12x12, which is great. And so if you were making for you had an after school program or another community group or a Sunday school, you could make a lot of these without using very much paper, and yeah, and just have something small inside. And that's a lovely little treat to find in there. I'd be very happy with that. And depending on where you live, you're going to have different treats available. Well, that is everything for today. I hope you like this. Super fast, quick and easy, and doesn't use very many materials. Alrighty, I will see you next week. Bye.